Lovely viewers, gather close for this one because today's story is so emotional, so heart-melting, that you might just find tears rolling down your cheeks before you even realize it. Imagine Lee Min-ho, the superstar who has captured hearts across the globe, reduced to soft, trembling tears as he finally holds his newborn twins for the very first time. Yes, lovely viewers, this moment was nothing short of magical, and the way it unfolded left everyone in the room speechless. So sit back, breathe in deeply, and let's walk into this unforgettable scene together. It all began in the quiet early hours of the morning, when the hospital lights felt softer than usual, as if they too understood the sacredness of the moment. Lee Min-ho had been pacing the hallway for hours, palms sweaty, heart racing, mind replaying every memory that led up to this life-changing day. Nurses said he kept asking the time every few minutes, smiling nervously, fidgeting and whispering, "Are they okay?" Even though everything was going perfectly, he just couldn't stay calm. After all, he was about to become a father of not one, but two precious babies. Lovely viewers, you know how Lee Min-ho usually appears. Collected, charming, always prepared. But that morning, he looked like a man whose entire world was about to be handed to him in the smallest, softest form. When the doctor finally called him in, he froze for a second. His eyes widened, his breathing stilled, and he whispered, "It's time," as if he didn't quite believe the reality of it. But oh, it was time. The very moment he had secretly dreamt of, prayed for, and imagined again and again was finally here. The room was quiet except for the gentle humming of machines and the soothing voices of nurses. Song Hye-kyo, exhausted but glowing with a softness no camera could ever fully capture, watched him with teary eyes. She reached out her hand, and he rushed to her side instantly, kissing her forehead and thanking her over and over again for bringing their babies into the world. You could almost feel his gratitude radiating off him, like warmth filling the room. Then came the moment, lovely viewers, the moment that completely shattered his composure. A nurse slowly walked toward him, holding the first twin, wrapped snugly in a pale blue blanket. Lee Min-ho extended his arms, but they trembled. He blinked rapidly, fighting the wave of emotion rising inside him. And then, the baby was gently placed into his arms. That tiny, tiny face. Those impossibly small fingers curling toward him. The soft breathing. It was too much for his heart. His lips quivered. His eyes glistened instantly. And just like that, this man known for his strength, his charisma, his confidence, broke down in the most beautiful way. Tears streamed down his cheeks as he whispered, "My baby, my beautiful baby." The staff watched in silence, moved by the sincerity of his reaction. Song Hye-kyo covered her mouth with her hand, her tears flowing too, because she had never seen him like this. Completely open, fragile, overwhelmed by love. But the emotional storm didn't end there, lovely viewers. As if one blessing wasn't enough, the nurse approached again with a second twin, wrapped in a soft lavender blanket. And when Lee Min-ho looked at the second tiny face, so different yet so connected to the first, he let out a soft cry, a sound filled with pure joy and disbelief. The nurse helped him balance both babies in his arms, and the sight was almost too precious to describe. He held them close to his chest, tears dripping onto their blankets, whispering promises he didn't even know he'd say until that moment. "I'll protect you. I'll love you. I'll be everything you need," he murmured, voice cracking. Lovely viewers, can you imagine this? Lee Min-ho, holding two new lives against his heart, already feeling the weight and wonder of fatherhood. Even the nurses later said they had never seen a father react with that much raw emotion. It was like watching a dream unfold before your eyes. Song Hye-kyo reached out weakly and touched his arm, whispering, "You're doing great." He turned to her, eyes red, face wet, and managed a trembling smile. "Thank you for giving me everything," he said. In that instant, their love felt deeper than anything they had ever shown publicly. It wasn't glamorous or staged. It was real, vulnerable, and breathtakingly intimate. As the twins shifted gently in his arms, one of them hiccuped softly, and Lee Min-ho let out a small laugh through his tears. "They sound like tiny angels," he said, rocking them slowly. He didn't want to put them down. He didn't want the moment to end. It was as if time had paused just for him, just for them, just for this fragile, unforgettable beginning. Lovely viewers, many people think they know Lee Min-ho because they've seen him on screen, in interviews or on stage. But this moment revealed the purest version of him, one overflowing with emotion, love, and gratitude. It reminded everyone present that behind the fame and the spotlight, he is simply a man who loves deeply and cherishes his family more than anything else. When he finally sat beside Song Hye-kyo, still holding the twins, he rested his forehead against hers. Both of them were crying quietly, not from sadness, but from overwhelming happiness. They whispered their babies' names, repeated them like they were the sweetest words ever spoken. It was a picture of love, unity, and new beginnings. And lovely viewers, if your heart is swelling right now, if your eyes are stinging with tears, believe me, you're not alone. Anyone who hears this story feels it. Anyone who imagines that tender moment can't help but be moved by the depth of it. This wasn't just a celebrity moment. It was a human moment. A moment that reminds us of the incredible power of love, family, and the miracle of new life. So to you watching, to you reading, to you feeling every emotion alongside them, thank you for being part of this story. Because moments like this are meant to be shared, celebrated, and remembered. And as Lee Min-ho holds his twins close for the first time, his tears falling like a blessing, one truth becomes clear. This is a new chapter in his life, one filled with more love than any role he's ever played. Lee Min-ho was still holding the twins close, their tiny breaths brushing softly against his chest, when one of the babies slowly opened their eyes for the very first time. It was just a little flutter, barely noticeable, but the moment Lee Min-ho saw it, he gasped softly as if the entire universe had suddenly expanded inside his heart. He leaned in very slowly, almost afraid to breathe too loudly, and whispered, "You're awake, my little one." His voice cracked, and lovely viewers, that single flicker of connection was all it took for him to begin tearing up all over again. The baby blinked once, twice, and then stared directly up at him. Innocent, pure, trusting. It was as if that tiny soul knew exactly who he was and had been waiting for this first meeting from the moment they existed. Song Hye-kyo watched them with the softest, most peaceful expression. Even though she was exhausted, she looked like a woman who had found a new purpose, a deeper strength, simply by seeing the man she loves melting in front of their children. She reached out weakly and whispered, "Min-ho, they're looking at you. They know you." And he shook his head slowly, overwhelmed. His eyes fixed on the babies as if nothing else in the world mattered anymore. Lovely viewers, imagine the atmosphere. No cameras, no managers, no flashy spotlight. Just a man, a woman, and the two precious lives they created together. Lee Min-ho shifted slightly so he could hold both babies more securely, and as he did, the lavender-wrapped twin made the softest sound. A tiny cry, barely a whimper. But to him it felt like a message. He leaned closer, cupping the baby's head with one large gentle hand, and whispered, "Daddy's here. Don't cry, angel. I'm right here." Those words came from a place so deep inside him that even the nurses stopped what they were doing to witness it. They later said they'd never seen a father who looked so genuinely transformed in a single morning. It was as if the moment he touched those babies, he stepped into a new version of himself. Stronger, softer, more devoted than ever before. Song Hye-kyo slowly extended her arms. "Let me hold one," she said softly. Lee Min-ho hesitated for a second, not because he didn't want to share, but because he didn't want to let go. But he carefully placed the lavender baby into her arms, supporting the head lovingly as he whispered, "Be careful, they're so tiny." Hye-kyo smiled, her eyes shining. "I think I know," she teased gently, and he let out a laugh through tears, nodding shyly. Lovely viewers, when she held the baby, the room took on an entirely new kind of warmth. Lee Min-ho watched her with admiration that could make anyone's heart flutter. He placed one hand on her shoulder and the other on the baby's tiny chest, feeling the heartbeat, feeling the reality of this new chapter. "You did this," he whispered to her. "You brought them into the world. I'll never forget this day." While she cradled one twin, the other began to wriggle in his arms. Just the smallest stretch, but enough for Lee Min-ho to smile in awe. He kissed the baby's forehead gently, his lips brushing the soft skin with a tenderness you could practically feel. "You're so perfect," he whispered. "Both of you, you're perfect." Lovely viewers, can you imagine it? Two parents, two newborns, and a love so huge that it filled every inch of the room. It felt like the world outside didn't exist for a while. No noise, no rush, no pressure. Just the quiet miracle of two new lives breathing softly against the chests of the people who loved them more deeply than anything else. After a while, the doctor walked in to check on the babies, and Lee Min-ho reluctantly let the nurse take the twin from his arms. But even as he stepped back, his eyes never left them. He wiped his cheeks quickly, though the tears kept coming. "I didn't expect it to feel like this," he admitted quietly. "I thought I'd be happy, but this is something else. This is everything." Song Hye-kyo nodded, reaching out her hand for his again. When he intertwined his fingers with hers, you could see how grounding she was for him, and how much he needed her in this moment. "We're parents now," she whispered. "Real parents." And he laughed again, a soft, breathless sound full of disbelief. "Yeah," he said, brushing his thumb over her knuckles. "And I'm still trying to understand how we're supposed to handle something so precious." Lovely viewers, the truth is, nobody ever fully knows how to handle that kind of love at first. But that's what makes it beautiful. And as the twins were gently examined and cleaned, Lee Min-ho kept pacing beside them, asking questions, touching their feet, smiling every time one of them made a sound. He looked like a father who had waited his entire life for this day. And then, perhaps the most touching moment of all, the twins were placed side by side in a small, warm bassinet. The instant their bodies were close, they shifted toward each other naturally, almost instinctively seeking comfort in each other's presence. Lee Min-ho gasped softly and whispered, "They know each other." Song Hye-kyo nodded tearfully, whispering, "They've always known." Lovely viewers, imagine the sight. Two tiny babies, born minutes apart, already curled toward each other like two halves of one soul, and their father kneeling beside them, crying softly as he stroked their small hands. It was purity. It was love. It was the beginning of a lifetime of memories waiting to be made. And Lee Min-ho, with his eyes red and his heart overflowing, finally said the words he had been holding in his chest since morning. "I will spend the rest of my life making sure they feel loved, every single day." The room, still warm with quiet wonder, felt like it was holding its breath as Lee Min-ho knelt beside the bassinet, watching his baby's tiny chests rise and fall in perfect harmony. His tears had slowed, but his heart was still pounding with a mixture of joy, disbelief, and overwhelming love. One of the babies, still wrapped in the pale blue blanket, let out a soft sigh and stretched an arm toward the lavender-wrapped twin. And lovely viewers, the moment Lee Min-ho saw that little gesture, he brought his hand to his mouth and whispered, "They're comforting each other." His voice cracked again, and he leaned forward as if that tiny movement had changed everything inside him. Song Hye-kyo watched from her bed, smiling weakly but lovingly as she whispered, "They're already connected, just like we hoped." A nurse came back into the room with two small hospital tags, each printed with the babies' names. When the nurse asked if they wanted to place the tags on themselves, Lee Min-ho stood up immediately. He wiped his face quickly, trying to act composed even though his eyes were still shimmering. But when she handed him the first tag, he froze. Just seeing his baby's name printed clearly, real, official, permanent, made his throat tighten again. He turned the tag slowly in his hands, tracing the letters with his finger. "This is real," he whispered. "I'm really a father." Then he glanced up at Song Hye-kyo, who nodded gently, tears in her eyes. "Put it on them," she said softly. "They're waiting." He moved to the bassinet with the kind of care that only a new father could understand. First, he fastened the tag around the lavender twins' tiny ankle, his hands trembling so much that the nurse had to steady him with a light touch on his elbow. As soon as the band clicked into place, he kissed the tiny foot and whispered, "Welcome to the world, my little one." Lovely viewers, You could almost feel the love radiating out of him like warm sunlight. Then he repeated the same gesture with the blue-wrapped twin, fastening the tag, kissing the tiny foot, whispering promises only a newborn could hear. This time, though, he lingered a little longer, brushing his thumb softly over the baby's skin as if memorizing the feel of it. After the tags were on, the nurse smiled and said, "Dad, would you like to try skin-to-skin contact? It helps them feel comforted." Song Hye-kyo immediately nodded. "You should," she encouraged gently. "They need to feel your warmth." Lovely viewers, the way Lee Min-ho's eyes widened showed he hadn't expected that offer. But he didn't hesitate. He removed his jacket, then his shirt, revealing the nervous excitement of a man about to experience something deeply intimate for the very first time. The nurse carefully placed the lavender baby against his bare chest, and the reaction was instant. The baby nestled against him, small hands curling into the soft fabric of the blanket resting over his shoulder. A sound escaped him, a choked, emotional breath that was half laugh, half sob. "They're so warm," he whispered. "So tiny. How can someone so small make my whole heart feel like it's bursting?" Song Hye-kyo covered her mouth, her tears flowing again. "Min-ho," she whispered softly, "you're doing so well." He looked at her, eyes filled with gratitude, as if he couldn't believe she was sharing this moment with him. "I never knew," he whispered, "that love could feel this big." Lovely viewers, imagine the scene. This world-famous actor, who has held trophies and worn designer suits and stood on the grandest stages, now standing shirtless in a quiet hospital room with his newborn child resting peacefully against his chest. And somehow, this moment dwarfed every achievement he had ever known. It was raw, unfiltered, and absolutely life-changing. After a few minutes, the nurse brought him the second baby. "They can both be with you," she said with a warm smile. His eyes widened even more. Both. At the same time. But before he could fully process the idea, she gently positioned the blue-wrapped twin onto his other shoulder, guiding the baby into the crook of his opposite arm. And lovely viewers, that was the moment that broke him again. Both babies, his babies, were pressed against him, their tiny faces resting peacefully just inches from his heart. His arms instinctively tightened around them, his body moving with gentle, natural sways. His tears fell freely, silently this time, dropping onto the soft blankets. He whispered, "I can't believe this is my family. I can't believe they're mine." Song Hye-kyo watched him with a softness that could melt stone. She whispered, "You look like you were born for this," and he laughed shakily, lowering his head to kiss both tiny foreheads. "I don't know what I did to deserve this," he said, "but I promise, I will never take a single day for granted." Lovely viewers, there was a moment, quiet, tender, where everyone in the room fell completely silent, almost in respect for the love unfolding before them. Even the machines seemed to hum more softly. The twins breathed calmly against him, their small bodies rising and falling in sync with his. And Lee Min-ho stood there, holding his entire world in his arms, looking more complete than anyone had ever seen him. Eventually, the babies were gently moved back to the bassinet to rest, and Lee Min-ho sat down beside Song Hye-kyo, his hands still shaking from the intensity of everything he had just felt. She reached out, placed her hand over his and whispered, "You're an amazing father already." He looked at her with teary eyes. "I'm just following your lead," he said softly. "You gave them life. I'm just learning how to love them." She leaned her head onto his shoulder, tired but glowing with warmth. "We're in this together," she whispered. "Every step." Lovely viewers watching them, two parents bound by love, gratitude, and the miracle of new life, felt like witnessing the beginning of something extraordinary. And though the day was far from over, one thing was already clear. This new chapter, this family they had created, was going to change everything.